Hey everybody, Ted Danson here to tell you about my podcast with my longtime friend and sometimes co-host Woody Harrelson. It's called Where Everybody Knows Your Name, and we're back for another season. I'm so excited to be joined this season by friends like John Mulaney, David Spade, Sarah Silverman, Ed Helms, and many more. You don't want to miss it. Listen to Where Everybody Knows Your Name with me, Ted Danson, and Woody Harrelson sometimes, wherever you get your podcasts.
I just unboxed Harry and David's Founder's Favorites gift box, and I've only got 30 seconds to tell you what's inside, so here goes. Harry and David's famous buttery smooth and juicy Royal Riviera pears, Moose Munch premium popcorn, loads of savory snacks like Italian-style dry salami, Gouda cheese, olive oil, and sea salt crackers, pepper and onion relish, so good with that Gouda, plus chocolate-covered cherries, mint squares, 6 kinds of truffles, and even more. But oops, I'm out of time. To see everything inside and get 20% off site-wide, go to harryanddavid.com and use code PAIR20. That's harryanddavid.com, code PAIR20.
You can support this podcast at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia.
I'm Rebecca Lavoie, and this is Crime Writers On. Crime Writers On is the original true crime review podcast that digs into true crime, pop culture, other podcasts. And on this episode, in 2025, the small screen brought us thought-provoking miniseries, immersive documentaries, and dramatic adaptations of classic true crime stories. We'll each share our list of the best TV we reviewed in 2025. Joining me to get that done is true crime author, TV journalist, and host of These Are Their Stories podcast, my husband and love of my life, Kevin Flynn. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Rebecca.
Also with us, private investigator, certified pet detective, resident cat lady, and author of the Piper Green series of cozy mysteries, Lara Bricker. Hi, Lara.
Hey, Rebecca.
And finally, it's our resident Doubting Thomas, author of the City Trilogy, host of Strange Arrivals, and our Patreon Deep Dive Book Club podcast host, Toby Ball. Hola, Toby.
Hola, Rebecca.
So, Kevin, this is Thursday's program.
It is.
What's coming up on our next show?
Okay, we're going back to the usual stuff, and that means a podcast we're going to listen to. It's called Blood Relatives. It's the latest from the folks at In the Dark.
Oh, looking forward to that one.
Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about it.
That should be fun.
So shall we.
That's right. All right, Kevin, you ready to do the thing we're here to do?
Why don't we do that?
Okay. There was something for everyone on TV in 2025. There were shows that shattered conventions, some that examined true crime classics as dramatic adaptations, and some returning favorites. But which of the TV shows and documentaries we reviewed truly stood out? We'll hear from all the crime writers on their top 10 picks for 2025. Before we begin, much thanks again to Linnea Motter for managing our list of reviews on Crime Writers On for so many years, and much thanks to Kevin for taking on that task. Thank you, Kevin. Every thumbs up, down, and sideways is there. Just go to crimewriterson.com/reviews, and you can see also there our combined weighted top 10 lists of TV and podcasts for 2025. So the way our lists work is we're actually listing things, the top 10s that we actually reviewed on the show this year. Yes, we know there's other television in the world, like, for instance, Severance or so forth, but we are talking about the shows that we reviewed, and you're not going to hear everybody's items for every number because they overlap, and you will understand what I mean in just a couple minutes. Let's get into it, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's reveal our top 10 lists. Each of us had a different selection. Lara Bricker, what is your number 10 pick for 2025?
My number 10 pick for 2025 is The Hunting Wives.
So, what do you guys do for work? Work? We don't work, we wife.
Binge-worthy trash TV that even Toby Ball liked. Enough said. That's all I need to say on this. I wanted to hate this, but it was a summer binge watch that everybody was watching. People are talking about it. Hey, did you watch that show with the lesbian sex, the pegging scene, the boars in the woods? So many stereotypes of Texas, guilty pleasures. I'm like, how can you not have this on your list? So,
good night, ladies and gentlemen. We're done. We end the podcast right there.
So this is one of the many things we reviewed lately that features Brittany Snow. In this, she's Sophie. She's this like recovered alcoholic who ran somebody over and moved to Texas with her husband because he got a job. And she becomes obsessed with Margot, the redhead who wears low cleavage dresses, and her wealthy circle of friends who all post on Instagram all of their guns and shooting things. They're known as the Hunting Wives. it's this crazy lifestyle of partying and shooting, but there turns out to be like a lot of mysteries. And then there's a murder where a teenage girl is found dead, which is how it landed on our area because there was a murder. And Sophie gets drawn into the mystery. This was just entertainment. This was not something that was like, oh, this was super well done. This was like, hey, I watched this. I don't want to admit I watched it, but Toby Ball also liked it. So it's number 10 on my list.
And we learned that some people take off their entire dress to change their sanitary napkin.
Yeah.
Kevin, what's number 10 on your list?
Number 10 on my list is The Bunker.
What began as a romantic date quickly turned to bizarre horror. The 38-year-old doctor served strawberries dipped in chocolate and champagne. The strawberries were laced with a date rape drug called Ropanol. The doctor loaded her into his car and took her to a remote area of Sweden. It was designed to hold more than one captive.
So this is a documentary that features a woman who was drugged on a date and then taken to a bunker in Sweden and kept there for 6 days. But it's really not about that. She eventually escaped, but she never really processed that trauma. So the filmmakers built a replica bunker and conducted an experiment in exposure therapy. So this is unlike anything that we've seen before. The victim is a real emotional puzzle, trying to figure out sort of where she is and where she needs to go emotionally, psychologically. This is a Swedish language film, so it's hard to find. We saw it on the service Viaplay, but if you can track it down somewhere else, I recommend watching this. It's a very challenging documentary, but super interesting in the way that the filmmakers get into this and try to do something with this victim. Is it beneficial? Is it not? It's kind of up for you to decide.
My number 10 pick, Lara, feel better about yourself because I also have some trash.
Oh, goody.
My number 10 pick is Murdaugh, Death in the Family.
What happened?
We had the boat out. It was foggy as fuck. I don't even know, bro. Look. Did they find her?
They found who?
Mallory.
All right, hear me out. So, is it perfect? No. Is it completely freaking watchable? Yes, because it has Jason Clarke and Patricia Arquette giving a masterclass in how to act out a real-life story and make the characters a little more three-dimensional for the fictional version than we would ever think. So I can't believe I like this as much as I did, kind of like the podcast it was based on, which is the Murdaugh Murders. This series plays a little bit with time, which is a little weird, but narratively works for me. It doesn't try to be super true to life, but it captures everything that's fascinating about the Murdaughs, their generational weakening power, their life of total and complete excess, Alec Murdaugh's self-destructive soul, and Maggie's Southern Belle matriarch who is completely fucking over it. Johnny Birchall, by the way, plays Paul in a surprisingly soulful performance that made me consider what I think about Paul Murdaugh, who's obviously no longer with us and was one of the victims, but a complicated person, right? So I feel like I know all about these people, and I'm not saying that these scripted version of the Murdaugh murders gave me real life insight into them, but it certainly made me think a little bit about the narrative I've gotten about this case and how it could be turned into a different narrative. And so, yeah, that's my number 10 pick, Murdaugh, Death in the Family, also featuring Brittany Snow. Toby Ball, tell us what landed on number 9 on your best of TV of 2025 list.
My number 9 was Chaos, the Manson Murders.
I think the girls might have believed in Helter Skelter. They might have been doing it because that's what Charlie told them. If that's the case, then he successfully brainwashed them into believing it. But I don't believe that's why Charlie did it. I believe there was another motive, another reason.
This was Errol Morris's documentary. It's looking at one of the more compelling parts of this book that was also called Chaos by Tom O'Neill. And it was written as kind of a counterpoint to Helter Skelter, which is Vincent Bugliosi's sort of definitive account of the Charles Manson murders and the investigation afterwards. And this looked at whether there was some connection between the MK Ultra mind control program that was run by the CIA and Charles Manson, and that the killings might have actually been sort of an outgrowth of that. Some of the reason why I might have liked it so much is that I've spent like quite a bit of the last couple of years more immersed in Manson stuff than I would have thought I would have been because of researching Rip Current. So it's interesting to see a guy whose work I've really liked over the years going over the same ground and seeing what he kind of comes up with. You're kind of watching the creation of a conspiracy theory by a guy who actually is like a good reporter. But it's a total conspiracy theory. So the book was super interesting. I'm looking forward to rereading it, maybe for the deep dive in 2026. And I thought this was an interesting little slice of Manson stuff. It was sort of a different take than you usually get.
Let's move on to number 8. Kevin Flynn, what did you think was the number 8 best thing we reviewed from TV in 2025?
Well, that was Surviving Ohio State.
That line, it was kind of backed up. And some of the upperclassmen were commenting, hey, this is going to take you a while.
They were saying, oh, Doc's going to like you.
And they just kind of chuckled and laughed a little bit, and I had no idea what they meant.
This is a show along the themes of documentaries and podcasts that we've looked at about abuse of primarily young female athletes by their trainers. I think Believed was one about gymnasts. I mean, we have gone through this in several different titles, but what makes this one different is it looks at Ohio State's Richard Strauss, who for decades abused college-aged men, and it upends the conventions of who is a victim and who is likely to be and how a victim is supposed to respond, especially if you are a big, strapping man, and say that I would never let something like this happen to me. It really upends those conventions. It also has a lot of emotional interviews with these middle-aged men who have lived with their shame all this time. And it, also covers the predictable institutional reaction of self-preservation over the needs of the victims that you could totally see coming. But it also does shine a little light on what the assistant coach for the team knew. His name's Jim Jordan, and he's a powerful congressman who continues to deny knowing anything about Strauss's abuse. But after you hear from that one wrestling referee who had an encounter with the doctor in the shower and went right to Jim Jordan, kind of makes you think it's hard to be true. Anyway, it's not only just emotional, but it also is unlike things that we've seen before, and it certainly expands the palette of what we think of as people who are survivors and the kind of attention and sympathy and support that they should have as well.
Toby, what made number 8 on your best of TV list?
Only Murders in the Building, Season 5.
Biggest headline is the security camera footage.
Let me guess. So Lester's death wasn't a tragic accident after all.
Well, I mean, it is the Arconia.
When we found him, nothing about that looked accidental.
Whoa there, Sherlock Nursing Homes. Good one, Howard. The footage sadly confirms Lester's death was tragically accidental.
Do I really need to summarize what Only Murders in the Building is about to our listeners?
No.
So this time they're looking into the death of their doorman, who is a recurring character in previous seasons. There's stuff about gambling and the super rich, but what you're really here for are the 3 leads, their interactions, and then the cast of characters that are played by these really high-end actors that are around them. There's still nothing really like this on TV. The Thursday Murder Club sort of tried to get in that space, I think, a little bit, but it wasn't the same at all. I felt this was the best season probably since the first one. I thought the writing was really sharp. And then the themes that it has of sort of community and kindness were sort of a nice message to put across without being really sappy. I mean, I think that's one of the things about this show. And we've talked a lot about how there's like this element of sadness in the show and loneliness, but I think there's also this sense of niceness and kindness and that people are looking out for each other. It's not a mean-spirited show, despite the fact that it's about murder. Maybe it's comfort food or whatever, but it's like really high-end comfort food. And I'll watch anything Steve Martin does too.
Lara, this was number 7 on your list.
Yeah, I mean, any new season of Only Murders in the Building, it's like returning to your favorite cozy murder mystery. We know I love cozy murder mysteries. Like on BritBox, I watch Midsummer Murders, those where you go back to the little village where something happens. Here we go back to the Arconia. We have our favorite characters We watch the characters evolve. I've still not recovered from the shrimp finger scene in this season.
Just thinking that.
As I'm gearing up for the holidays when I like to do shrimp cocktail, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that. But I think what was good about this season was it advanced the characters. It gave more of a backstory to some of the characters. We got to see some of them change. And now we're going to see if we're going to have only murders out of the building or not, because Cinda Canning did, spoiler, throw herself in at the last minute to get on this. So this is always a favorite.
Yeah, this is number 9 on my list. I'm just going to add one more thing that neither one of you mentioned, which is they continue to do a great job with the meta about the podcasting space. And there's a wonderful scene in this where they've sold the show to a network that sounds a lot like Wondery in its name. Wonderfy. And that scene where they walk in the office and see those two women. Kevin, what was the show that they were taping?
Two Drunk Sluts on Murder.
So good. So good. I super enjoyed it. All right, we're at number 7. Kevin, why don't you go first and tell us what came in at number 7 on your list for 2025?
Number 7 on my list is Two Drunk Sluts on Murder. No.
It's you and Toby.
It's us.
No, I'm just kidding.
Number 7 on my list is The Fox Hollow Murders.
Let me ask you, what do you think? Am I the evil culprit, the accomplice? I'd like to know how the audience views me.
So this is a series that looks at serial killer Herb Baumeister, who died by suicide in the mid-90s while he was on the run. But the lingering mystery is basically about whether or not he had an accomplice help him bury the victims on his property, because they were sort of found in like the woods that was far out, and it would be difficult for just one person to transport the body, even though I believe they were in different sections. Anyway, what makes this, an otherwise conventional series so memorable is this extended interview with Mark Goodyear, who was Baumeister's secret lover. He's weird, he's creepy, and maybe he wants you to think he's an accomplice, and maybe you think that, and maybe they go after him. Completely watchable. Whether he is or not, he's really getting off on the attention. So come for the creepy mannequin set up by the indoor swimming pool, but stay for the interview with the ultimate unreliable narrator.
So, Toby, this is also on your list at number 10.
Yeah, I think for basically the same reasons Kevin said. In some ways it's sort of very similar to a lot of other things, but then you have this guy Goodyear he's quite something. So I thought the interview with him, sometimes you see these things and you feel sorry for the person, like they're not like prepared for being on camera, or you feel as though, they're being taken advantage of or something. That is not the case here. This guy is 100% wants to be on camera and like wants to mess with the audience. And it's interesting psychological thing. And then like Kevin was saying, like the swimming pool with the mannequins and stuff. And then, this guy had a wife who was living in this house that had a swimming pool with mannequins around it. The whole thing is kind of weird. Anyway, it was like a solid number 10. It's not like a top 5 type of thing, but the weird and interesting parts are definitely weird and interesting.
So, Toby, what's at your number 7 on your list?
Number 7 was the unfortunately titled The Yogurt Shop Murders.
The Yogurt Shop Murders was like a ghost story that people told. It was always told in hushed tones, this happened here.
So The Yogurt Shop Murders, which is just a terrible title. It takes a look at the consequences of a quadruple murder of girls in a yogurt shop in Austin, Texas in 1991. There's no discernible motive. The evidence is mostly destroyed when the building is set on fire. What the story really does mostly is focus on the impacts of the people who are sort of involved in the aftermath, including the families of the victims, the police investigating the crime, and so on. Some people who are falsely accused. I thought some parts of this are really elevated. Like, this isn't the kind of thing where if you explained it to me, I would be very interested in watching. But I thought some of the interviews were really, really compelling. I think there's, especially at the end of the first episode, there's an interview with one of the mothers, and they have sort of the courage to kind of just let the camera roll and just let her talk, and there's no interstitial stuff or whatever. And I just thought it was really affecting. As a matter of fact, almost everybody in it, I thought, even if they weren't introspective, they had kind of interesting outlooks on things. And then you had the two original cops who were looking into this are like the incarnations of the two guys from True Detective season 1. I mean, they are both just totally haunted by this case in these different ways. So anyway, I thought this was really interesting in a way that I really wasn't expecting.
All right, moving on. Let me tell you what my number 6 pick is for the best TV shows we reviewed in 2025. It's something that made all of our lists. It's The Perfect Neighbor.
They shouldn't be screaming and, running around either. I mean, the parents aren't attending them. Obviously, they're just,
I understand it's a nuisance, but I'd rather kids be screaming because they're out here playing and have a good time than stealing cars and robbing people.
So this documentary, in my opinion, will probably get nominated for an Oscar. It's told exclusively through body cam footage and police interview recordings. It looks at the lead up to the fatal shooting of Audrika Owens by her neighbor, Susan Lawrence, in Ocala, Florida. It really does a great job showing the racism that Black children and families experience in America every day, even when playing in their own yards. It shows the trauma and complete suddenness of gun violence and the immediate fallout from it. It's really, really raw. And what happens when the police do absolutely nothing under the guise of being good cops? They think they're good cops, but they do absolutely nothing when they could have. It's also very political. It looks at Florida's Stand Your Ground law, but it never talks about MAGA and it doesn't talk about Ron DeSantis. So it's not that on the nose, but you feel when you're watching it that politics is infused all the way through it. The results of policy that often start out by being, an idea that somebody has to fix a problem that then turns into something else entirely. And Stand Your Ground, I think, somewhat falls into that category. So yeah, for me, The Perfect Neighbor is number 6. Lara, this was your number 9.
Yeah, so I echo what you said. I think for me, when I watched this with the use of body-worn camera footage, you got to hear this story through the voices of the people involved, the police officers involved, the victim's family, and the way that they were able to edit that footage together to make a cohesive narrative was really pretty brilliant. I watch body-worn camera footage all the time for work, and it is not always that titillating. Let me tell you, you're watching here's 20 minutes of an officer driving in a car with nothing going on. So again, though, they put it together in such a way that you were led to draw your own conclusions about what happened. But I think at the end, it's hard not to draw the conclusion that most of us drew in watching this, which was, this was a situation. This was wrong. This neighbor had a lot of biases that came into play. And it was really interesting, I think, for me. I think the part where it flipped when they brought her, the neighbor, in for an interview and you see them actually questioning her. That part was one of my favorite parts because they walked out and left her in there at one point. And that part was just amazing. So for all the reasons you said, Rebecca, I think this is something that's like a must watch if you care about what's happening in our country right now.
Toby, this also landed at number 6 for you.
Yeah, I guess the only thing I'll add is that it does sort of show you how these things escalate, right? And that, when you start watching it, what the outcome is going to be. It's just a sense of dread. And you can just see things taking these incremental steps. So yeah, it's an important watch.
So Kevin, this landed at number 9 on your list?
Yeah, I also made mine. And the quick disclaimer is that Rebecca covered this on Netflix's You Can't Make This Up. Did not influence her review, did not influence mine. This is really interesting. I agree with everything you say. The cinema verite aspect of this documentary is really compelling because you sort of know what's coming and nobody else does. So it's Hitchcockian in that way. And it asks, what responsibility do the police have to this neighborhood when no crime has been committed? How do you know that a Karen is going to become a killer? It's a tragedy all the way around. And this is committed by somebody who considers herself to be, ironically, a perfect neighbor. And you can be a perfect listener if you join us on Patreon.
Oh, we're in the business section.
That's all we really need.
Yes, you can.
You absolutely can by joining us at patreon.com/partnersincrimemedia. You'll get all sorts of exclusive content, including the Crime Writers on After Show, where we're talking about some things that we liked and some things that we definitely hated. We're talking about the worst thing that we watched or listened to in 2025. That was fun. We have Toby Ball's Deep Dive Book Club podcast. The last book that Toby talked about is By the Fire We Carry, and Toby's going to start coming up with books to read for 2026. We have Married with Podcast, our advice podcast, and Rebecca's new weekly podcast with Mel Barrett from the Readathon. It's called Something's Off, and there's always something to talk about. And if you join us at the Bricker Scale level, you get an additional podcast. It's Lara Bricker's Leave It to Bricker podcast. She's gone contra dancing. If you don't know what that is, you definitely want to join.
So, Kevin, before we end the business section, do we have any Patreon patron saints of the week this week?
Our Patreon patron saints are Taylor Brown and Jennifer and John Grinter. Bless you.
Thank you guys so much for being saints. We need to get back to our list, so I'm going to go ahead and fade that music out right now. So, Kevin?
Yes.
What's your next favorite thing from the screen?
Oh, well, it's the things that I've seen on my Aura picture frame.
Oh.
Aura frames are perfect for those who are still hunting for that great gift. Make it look like you planned it that way all along. With an Aura frame, you get unlimited free photo and video uploads. You just download the app and connect it to the Wi-Fi in your Aura frame. You can start shooting those photos that have been hanging out on your camera right to the phone. It could be the frame that you keep in your house, but when you give it as a gift, those folks can add their own photos, or you can contribute it too. So that's why it's a great gift to give to your parents, to give to your siblings, or your kids when they're moving out.
Yeah.
And every gift can be personalized with a custom message that will appear when the frame is turned on for the first time.
For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver Mat frames. Named number 1 by Wirecutter by using promo code CRIMEWRITERS at checkout. That's auraframes.com, promo code CRIMEWRITERS.
Crime Writers!
This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey everybody, Ted Danson here to tell you about my podcast with my longtime friend and sometimes co-host Woody Harrelson. It's called Where Everybody Knows Your Name, and we're back for another season. I'm so excited to be joined this season by friends like John Mulaney, David Spade, Sarah Silverman, Ed Helms, and many more. You don't want to miss it. Listen to Where Everybody Knows Your Name with me, Ted Danson, and Woody Harrelson sometimes, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey crafters, you're invited to visit the new Knit and Sew shop at Michael's. Find hundreds of fabrics in over 800 stores and over 100,000 styles on Michaels.com. Shop your favorite yarn brands, including Big Twist, Karen Cakes, and Burnett in multiple styles and colors. You'll also find all the machines, tools, and notions you need with top brands like Singer, Brother, and Pellon, plus essential thread and floss. It's all new at Michael's.
We're halfway there to our number 1 selections for TV we reviewed in 2025. Lara, tell us what your number 5 pick is.
My number 5 pick is Department Q on Netflix.
Who exactly will I be in charge of?
Just you.
A department of just me?
Oh, you have an office, whatever resources you need.
Well, I need a car.
No, we can't just give you a car. This isn't The Price is Right.
Anything with Matthew Good is something I'm going to watch. As soon as I saw Matthew Good was in a mystery crime thriller show, I was like, yes, please. He was the vampire in Discovery of Witches, a show that I was addicted to, also in Downton Abbey. But this show ticked a lot of boxes for me. It was a police procedural. It had an interesting cast of misfits teaming up to solve a crime. It was gritty. There were some parts that were a little too gritty for me. It had great character development. And it really portrayed PTSD in a way that felt authentic and true to me. Good plays Detective Chief Inspector Carl Mork. He's haunted by this past shooting incident that he was involved with. He's assigned to head this newly formed cold case unit, Department Q. They work in the basement. I don't know how the hell they assign these people to work in this basement with no computers at this like shitty little desk, but they did. He has a new assistant, Akram. He's later joined by some other team members. And they are put on the case of the disappearance of a prosecutor, Merritt. And All of this is unfolding as Matthew Good's character is dealing with the PTSD from this incident that he was out of the police force on. You know what? This was a fun watch. I watch a lot of British police procedurals. So right away, I'm like, okay, this is something that I'm interested in. I like to watch things for enjoyment sometimes. And this was one of those shows. So that is why it was my number 5.
Well, Lara, that's also why my number 5 is my number 5. And that is The Beast in Me.
It looks to me like you're not putting up much of a fight.
It's not that simple.
Why is that?
Why? Because I killed my wife. I mean, that's what everyone thinks, right? Enough people say it. It must be true.
Did you kill her?
What do you think?
I don't know.
Now, this might be recency bias. I don't think so. To me, this show had everything. It had Matthew Rhys. It had Claire Danes. It had white predatory teeth. It had a man standing at his counter eating an entire chicken. It had Chekhov's dogs. Like, what more could you possibly want? I really love the show. And also Brittany Snow. That's right.
Pegging, tits,
That's right. Of course,
lesbians.
Claire Danes and Matthew Rhys are two of my very favorite actors. This show takes place in a fancy suburb of New York City where Claire Danes' character is this grieving author. She's grieving the death of her son. She gets a new neighbor, a billionaire dude who is very strange, very prowling, very, very cold, and sort of awakens, as the title says, the beast in her. The questions: did he murder his ex-wife? Do we really care? Is Brittany Snow our next huge star? I think maybe, if the trends point to that direction. It isn't perfect, but it's eminently watchable. I love the art direction so much. I love the costuming. I love the vibe. Mostly, though, I love the dialogue and the acting, which, in my opinion, is over-the-top excellent, and we are going to be seeing these two actors at the Emmys this year. So, yep, The Beast in Me is my number 5. Kevin, what's on number 5 for you?
Yeah, number 5 for me is Task.
Jason shook my hand with the same hand he used to beat your father's brains out. And I had to stand there and fucking nod my head and say thank you for coming. When I knew and you knew what they'd done to him. So yeah, I'm gonna take their money. Yeah, I'm gonna take their money so we can have a better life.
So this is a prestige drama about a grieving FBI agent assigned to a task force searching for who is ripping off some biker stash houses. But the emotional center is Robbie, who's seeking payback against the bikers who murdered his brother. This has an amazing performance by Tom Pelphrey, and he's playing Robbie. It's also, I was going to say a supporting cast. Mark Ruffalo is the lead here. He's also great. What elevates this from other crime dramas is its themes, deep themes of death, of loss, of redemption. We have characters here where you really feel the stakes, you understand what motivates them and the decisions that they need to make, the predicaments that they get themselves into. You really care about the characters. This is an example of when HBO in particular lets artists be artists and go where they want to go, narratively, artistically. Sometimes you get some really good stuff. And for me, that's why Task is number 5 on my list.
Yeah, Ruffalo and Pelphrey are going to be competing with Matthew Rhys, I think, for that limited series Emmy. Lara, you have Task at number 8.
Yeah, this was one of the shows that we watched this year that I really looked forward to watching. I think I binged it. It had characters that you really wanted to root for. There was a lot of themes within it. There was themes of water and rebirth and renewal. We have this character, Robbie, and he was a very compelling character because on one hand, you're he's doing stuff he shouldn't be doing. On the other hand, you're I can get behind what he's doing. And I felt like all of these characters were so three-dimensional. Mark Ruffalo's character, he did this perfect dad bod kind of investigator guy who in the beginning you kind of underestimate. And then you're actually, this guy has really got it going on and knows what he's doing. The character of Robbie's niece, Maeve, was tremendous. She played that role so well. She's taking care of her younger niece and nephew, and she's pretty savvy because her father was in this motorcycle gang, and you see some scenes that she really pulls out that past and that family history. So this was just one of those shows that I was I actually looked forward to watching the show. I told people to watch this show because I think the character development was more important than the actual mystery of the crime here. It was really a good story of characters and people and redemption.
You forgot about the accents.
Well, that too.
Great accents, yeah.
All right, moving on to number 4. Lara Bricker, what did you select as your number 4 pick for the best television we reviewed in 2025?
So my number 4 pick was Unknown Number, a high school catfish.
Fucking trash, bitch. Don't fucking wear leggings. Ain't no one wants to see your anorexic flat ass.
I would question what I wear to school, how I look, how's my hair.
So this is a documentary that was about the true story of this teenager, Lauren, and she was harassed by an unknown number through text messages for years. They're threatening, they're insults, they are very sexually explicit. They're talking about her boyfriend. The investigation ultimately includes the FBI. So we've listened to catfishing cases. This case was like nothing I have ever seen before. I could not pick my jaw up off the ground when we got to the reveal of who was behind the catfishing. I still can't. I still wish one thing in this is that we had a little bit more insight into the mental health of the person who was behind the catfishing. It was wild. It takes something that we hear about a lot in the teenage world, cyberbullying, and we hear about teenagers cyberbullying other teenagers. We hear about mean girls. This is a very different story. This was something I actually made my son and his girlfriend sit down and watch. I'm like, you guys need to watch this. Their jaws hit the floor. So this is one of those that when I told people about it and they had watched it, they all had that same reaction. It showed a different side to something that we've heard about before that really stuck with you.
I also had this at number 4, Lara, and you're right. This was something that was really intriguing. Everybody just heard the clip, and the motivation for this catfisher is just wild. And it's not even the motivation, the rationale, the excuses. It's just such an interesting, unreliable narrator in this one as well. And I thought that, it was something that was a super conversation starter and a catfishing case unlike anything that we've seen before, Rebecca.
Yeah, this was on my list too at number 8. And I'll just say, there's a red wedding scene in it. Like, you could videotape.
Yeah.
You could take your phone, and when someone's watching it and you're sitting next to them, you could turn the camera on them to see their reaction to the turn in this. The filmmakers do such a good job. Skye Borgman does such a good job of keeping that twist completely unpredictable by the editing that happens in the show. And if you don't know the story, don't look it up before you watch it. And if you watch it with somebody else and you've seen it before, 100% turn your camera on your friend when you reach that moment. Now we're in the top 3 for our best television of 2025 that we reviewed. Toby, what's number 3 for you?
My number 3 is The Lowdown.
I read stuff. I research stuff. I drive around and I find stuff. And then I write about stuff. Some people care, some people don't. I'm chronically unemployed, always broke, but let's just say that I am obsessed with the truth.
The Lowdown is an Oklahoma-based noir following a truth historian, a self-described truth historian, played by Ethan Hawke, who smells corruption and ends up finding a conspiracy. It's a typical sort of noir arc, but it's rooted in Oklahoma history, particularly sort of land grabs from people who are in the Indian nations there as various treaties were signed. And it has some great fun actors like Ethan Hawke, Kyle MacLachlan, Peter Dinklage, and others. There's a lot of neo-noirs that try to have the classic kind of noir intensity and the little guy against the machine and all this kind of stuff, and also have sort of their light moments. And, it's a tough one to pull off. I felt like The Lowdown did this pretty well. There's some stuff that's pretty amusing, but there's sadness, there's conspiracy, there's suspense. There's some pretty extreme violence in it as well. There's some very funny set pieces. And I guess the other thing I would say is that Ethan Hawke's daughter in this is played by a wonderful young actress whose name I cannot remember, but the role is really well written and she is just acts tremendously. So I really enjoyed this. I think both Lara and Rebecca have talked about putting shows on the list just because they were looking forward to watching it every week. And I kind of felt the same way about this. So that's my number 3.
Good reasoning, Toby. Kevin, what's at your number 3?
Number 3 on my list of the best television for 2025 is Good American Family.
This is
Natalia.
Hi.
Are you gonna be my mommy and daddy?
Well, we sure would love that if you'll have us.
I will. I will.
So this is the dramatic adaptation of the docuseries The Curious Case of Natalia Grace. The question is the Ukrainian orphan adopted by the Barrett family actually a violent adult dwarf, or did the family try to convince the world of that because they couldn't handle a special needs child? So this show makes the most of the opportunity given to it to explore the unexamined interiority of the characters and their motivations, which you can't do in the docuseries, right? It flips stylistically from horror to tragedy to family drama. It kind of goes in a lot of different places, but does that well. Ellen Pompeo and Mark Duplass have good performances, but the show is stolen by Imogene Faith Reed as Natalia. When we've had so many adaptations this year of true crime podcasts or whatever, where they tried to dramatize it, and when they have, as Toby sometimes says, when they have every opportunity to do anything, a lot of them pick the wrong thing. I felt here like they found the different parts of the human drama and the human tragedy here and made the most of it. And I thought of all the adaptations that this was the best one, and that's why it's number 3 on my list.
All right, we have now reached the number 2 spot on our countdown of the best TV shows we reviewed in 2025. Kevin Flynn, what's at number 2 for you?
Number 2 on my list is season 3 of The White Lotus.
What if we lost everything?
We're not going to lose everything.
No.
No. And if we did, honestly, I don't know if I'd want to live.
Why would you say that? What does that mean?
I just don't think at this age I'm meant to live an uncomfortable life.
This season opens with an active shooter at a luxury resort in Thailand, but we flash back to a week earlier to meet the guests who are there, and they are motivated by comfort and security, and at least one character says the quiet part out loud that she thinks she'd be better off dead than poor. There's a tsunami of great performances, Rebecca, by Walter Goggins. No. Parker Posey was fantastic. Walter Goggins, of course. It was fun. I mean, just like the previous seasons, it contains themes that we don't get in other shows. It meditates on privilege, exploitation, sex, but this time it also adds a mix of spirituality to it. It's unlike anything that's out there, and I'm just glad that it has a bit of a crime hook so that we can talk about it with a straight face. Season 3 of The White Lotus is just another must-watch.
Toby, this is number 5 for you.
Yeah, I agree with everything that Kevin said. There is also a crazy scene with Sam Rockwell, who it has a little bit more than a cameo, but not much more. But he has this one just insane scene. I really like this series. I thought this was better than season 2. Goggins is great. I don't know. There's just a lot of good acting. There's a lot of suspense, and it's sort of one of those, like, you can kind of take it seriously, but you don't have to take it that seriously. So you are kind of wrapped up in people's fates, but at the same time, you're not like sweating it out too much. So anyway, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, this was my number 3. I loved this season. Jason Isaacs, man, crushed it with that accent. Leslie Bibb crushed it with her cunty bob. So good. So good. The performances are great. The story is fun. I know people say, why are we spending all this money and time and attention on this show about rich white people? The whole point is that there is a disease in media that is rich white people. I think this show does a very good job of showing the poison right below the surface of rich white people. My favorite dynamic on the show was the 3 friends from school growing up who are now adults, women in their 40s, 50s range or whatever, and the poison that can sort of underlie the foundation of a triangle of people. I think that was my favorite dynamic of the show. I wish there was more of that And of course, we had a fucking weird incest scene as well.
Sticking that.
Oh, God.
The brothers.
Lara Bricker, what is number 2 on your list of the best TV we reviewed in 2025?
Speaking of weird incest scenes, no, I'm just kidding. Number 2 on my list for 2025 almost became number 1. I went back and forth on this, was The Quilters.
So which one are you going to do next?
Finish these 2 rows, and then this is the next row that gets right below this one. At this place, it's hard to tell which way it goes.
Now, see, you're doing good. You see how none of your corners is pulling apart.
This was the short documentary, and it was on Netflix. I loved this so much. I told everybody that I work with in the criminal justice world to watch it. So this was about a maximum security prison in Missouri and a group of inmates that gets to take part in a restorative justice program, and they make quilts for foster children. And they work in a special sewing room. They get donated material, and they have this whole little family within this max security prison where they're supporting each other. At one point, there's one of the inmates who, is having a really hard time, and one of the other ones steps in to help him. This isn't just an activity. This is something that's changing the lives and giving people an opportunity to do something worthwhile while they're incarcerated, to grow, to change, to give back. The scenes where you see these children in the end getting these blankets. This was just absolutely one of my favorite things I've ever watched. After this, I was like, that's it. I actually went online. I was like, where can I work in restorative justice? Because I want to do this with my life. It was just an inspiring short show. It won a lot of awards when it came out, and it was definitely a tearjerker. That's why it's my number 2 of the year.
Yeah, it's my number 8. And I have to say, one element you didn't mention, Lara, was the complete and utter beauty of the quilts that these men made.
It's amazing.
You'd see them really struggling with their piecing and the patience that was required for it, and making mistakes and having to go back and redo the mistakes, take it all apart and start again, which is a wonderful, weird metaphor for kind of what they're going through psychologically after being incarcerated for so long. But the absolute beauty of these quilts, cannot be overstated. I thought this documentary was incredibly moving. I hope it wins more awards. I actually watched it twice, and I would watch it more. So I really love Quilters too, which is why it ended up at number 8 on my list.
Hey there, it's Katie Nolan, host of Casuals, the sports podcast where we don't care how much you know about sports, we're just happy that you're here. Every week, I hang out with some of my good friends to discuss the biggest stories across sports and entertainment, but in a way that's fun and not boring. Want to know Sue Bird's favorite Diana Taurasi story? Or how heavy the Larry O'Brien trophy is? Or even what baseball team is right for you based on your moon sign? We got you. Listen to Casuals every Tuesday and Thursday on the SiriusXM app or wherever you get your podcasts. Bye!
Drafty windows? Sky-high energy bills? Tired of the hassle of constant repairs? This holiday season, Renewal by Andersen helps you slay the savings. Buy one window or door and get one 40% off. Plus, take $200 off your entire purchase with a minimum of 4. And with special financing available, replacing those old, inefficient windows has never been easier. Don't let drafty, worn-out windows crash your holiday cheer. Visit renewalbyandersen.com today to schedule your free consultation.
Planning a trip this year? Travel smarter and connect deeper by learning the local language with Rosetta Stone. With over 30 years of experience, Rosetta Stone's immersive, intuitive method helps you live the language, not just memorize it. Choose from over 25 languages, including Spanish, French, Japanese, and more. Their true accent speech recognition technology gives real-time feedback to help perfect your pronunciation. No translations, just natural learning that builds from words to phrases to full conversations. Whether you have 5 minutes or an hour, you can learn anytime on desktop or mobile. Get a lifetime membership and unlock all 25 languages. Learn as much as you want, whenever you want. Rosetta Stone. Learn confidently. Connect authentically. Don't wait. Unlock your language learning potential now. Listeners can grab Rosetta Stone's lifetime membership for 50% off. That's unlimited access to 25 language courses for life. Visit rosettastone.com/pod50 to get started and claim your 50% off today. Don't miss out. Go to rosettastone.com/pod50 and start learning today.
Is it just me, or has watching TV gotten way too complicated? There's a million different services and just too many bills to keep track of. Thankfully, there's Philo, a better way to TV. For as low as $33 a month, I get the channels I love, MTV, BET, Food Network, you name it. Plus, everything that AMC Plus has to offer. And guess what? They've added access to HBO Max Basic with Ads Plan and Discovery Plus, so I can enjoy all the best TV with one subscription. There are no contracts, no surprise fees, just one low price. And their DVR is awesome too. I can save everything I love on Philo for up to a year and skip the ads when I rewatch them. A total game changer. I signed up directly at philo.tv. That's philo.tv, so I could lock in the best price around. Philo's the easiest decision I've ever made. Now the hard one is trying to decide what to binge next.
All right. Now here we are, folks. It is time to reveal our selections for the very best television we reviewed in 2025. My number one pick is The Diplomat Season 3.
You used me to sell a lie to the Prime Minister. When the Brits find out, they will consider this an act of war. So will the Russians.
They won't find out.
But the Russians will assume it's the Brits.
No.
If they think the Brits stole their weapon, they will attack the United Kingdom.
I think The Diplomat is the best show on TV right now. Maybe The Pit would be up there with it. I love this show so much. It is so deeply, deeply funny. It is so deeply addictive. When the season came out, I wanted to start watching it like the minute it came out. It's a very political story, but it takes place in this alternate universe where politics is just as horrible as it's always been, but not horrible in the same way that it is today. And essentially, things work basically the way they're supposed to. We care about international law. We do diplomacy. You see how boring and stupid all that is too. But mostly it's the comedy of this show that I love. It would not be funny. It would not be so sharp without genius Kerry Russell and genius Rufus Sewell. Now, Kerry Russell, I mentioned my other favorite actors, Claire Danes and Matthew Rhys. Kerry Russell is up there with them. I think she's my favorite actress working and has been for a really, really long time. The Americans, as you know, is my favorite show of all time. This season, though, they also added genius Allison Janney and genius Bradley Cooper as a fun nod to The West Wing, which was a fantasy about how politics were when that aired and is even more of a fantasy now. But the very best part of this show, along with Kerry Russell, hands down, is Rory Kinnear as Nicholas Trowbridge. This season, by the way, had a great twist. Hal Weiler becomes VP and Kate decides to keep her ambassador post and fuck a spy. I can't say much about that other than the fact that the sex on this show is actually hot, which, a lot of shows try that and they're misses. Also, there's a wonderful...
Lara loved the pegging. What are you
That's
talking
true.
about?
Also, there's a wonderful location porn situation with mansion in Rhode Island and a fantastic pool scene that I think about all the time because I think about the logistics of how that was shot. Anyway, Diplomat Season 3, my number one show. I couldn't wait to watch it of 2025. And it's number one, not just of things that we reviewed, but of everything I watched in 2025. Toby, this was number 4 on your list.
Yeah, I really like this show. It's a little bit about a complete lunatic, which was Kerry Russell's character, and the stuff that she gets up to. Mm-hmm. But, it's fun. You got to kind of give yourself over to this weird sort of world that they've spun and the things that happen in it. But they just keep kind of setting up these situations where, Kerry Russell and Rufus Sewell have to sort of manipulate their way out of things. I think it's just a fun watch.
Lara, this is on your list too at number 6.
Yeah, every season of The Diplomat gets better for me. This season in particular, I really enjoyed the background and the way they built out the origin story of Kate and Hal. I thought that was really interesting. The dynamic between the two of them, I still can't figure out. I know you like Rory Kinnear. I still have not recovered from the sex scene.
No.
Vigorous.
That was hilarious.
You still got it, babe.
But the other sex scenes, they were hot. That one, not so much. So this show has everything. It's got this great location porn. It's got this international sort of espionage back and forth between the US and the UK and around the world. You've got fantastic characters. And for me, the plot, it's there, but I really enjoy the characters in this. Allison Janney and her camaraderie and sort of relationship on screen with her fellow actor from The West Wing, that was fantastic as her husband now in this season. So that is why it was on my list.
Lara, who had the worst sex talk this year? Was it Vigorous from the Diplomat, or was it from the Murdoch murders? When
Murdoch
Alec,
murders.
Yeah, when Alec goes, we still got it.
3 thrusts
okay.
and a compliment.
You know what? I'm going to tell you what. Because the Murdoch murders one is the one I was falling asleep, and I swear to God, I woke up and I thought she said, bleep me up the bleep. And I went, oh my God.
Oh, no.
And I rewound and I went, no, that's not what she said.
Oh no.
So that one was more of a sad sex scene. The Roy Kinnear one, I was like, these people need to get out more, or
they were
need to
having
get some
fun, Laura.
So yeah, that would be my ranking
Whatever
next
they're
year.
into.
Okay.
I can do a ranking of best to worst sex scenes on shows that we have watched.
Hey, at least they're telling each other what they like, you know?
Gotta
A lot of
communicate
people
with
don't
your
do that.
partner.
Vigorous.
Yeah.
That's
Vigorous.
Maintain eye contact.
Toby Ball, what was your number one pick for television that we reviewed this year?
My number one pick was Shiny Happy People, a Teenage Holy War.
This was fascism in front of me on a massive scale. Teen media was part of a broad movement created by the big, heavy political players to blow up the order as it is. This is the generation that was raised to seize power.
Welcome to the end of democracy.
You know, this is the second season of Shiny Happy People. The first season was about the Duggars and their sort of weird and, to me, kind of disturbing type of Christianity. This focuses on the Teen Mania Ministries, which sought to provide a kind of Christian alternative to youth culture that it saw as, you know, evil. And it also focuses on this guy, Ron Luce, who's the founder. It goes from being sort of this stadium extravaganza of knockoff rock music and other kinds of entertainment to this more militaristic model where they end up trying to like create like literal warriors to, you know, make America an evangelical Christian nation and glorifying martyrdom. It shines a light on what is, by all accounts, a fairly large part of our culture. There's really good interviews with alumni of Teen Mania. It's a movement that seems to kind of basically fly under the mainstream media radar, but it's big and the implications of it are pretty important. And it seems like somebody ought to be covering it. And so Shiny Happy People is, from my perspective, it's just super, super troubling. And Jeff Charlotte's in it too. And he's always great. And he's done a lot of work on this stuff. So anyway, I thought it was an important watch. I thought it was well reported. It certainly kept my attention.
Yeah, this was number 4 for me. And when I give people recommendations for documentaries to watch, there are 5 that I tell them to watch. I tell them to watch The Staircase Season 1. I tell them to watch The Jinx both seasons. I tell them to watch Great Photo, Lovely Life. I tell them to watch Murder on Middle Beach. And I always tell them to watch Shiny Happy People. Both seasons. Season 2 is as good as season 1, which is so hard to do, right? But they switched perspectives. The story is fascinating. I cannot get enough of this particular cult, this quiverful adjacent and quiverful cult. Like, expose them, make as much stuff as you can about them, show us the underbelly of Liberty University, show us the underbelly of these child labor situations where if you call it out, you're called like anti-Christian or whatever. No. This is a cult. This is absolutely a weird ass cult. And the absurdity of this season 2 is like also great. It is deeply funny. Like at many points in the show. There's a story that one of the people talks about where they had to drag a cross, giant like crucifix across state lines, and they're like trying to hitch a ride. And it's like, what do we do with the cross? Like we put it on top of the car.
Trying to figure out why no one would stop for this.
So funny. So good. Great voices in it. I absolutely freaking love Shiny Happy People. And I'm hoping, beyond hope, there's a season 3. Kevin, this was number 6 for you.
Yeah, it's a great pick. I agree with everything you guys say. One of the things that I appreciated is that it does focus on these young adults, these former kids who were involved. The filmmakers never make fun of them or ridicule them for their religious beliefs. That's not what it's about. It's really about how they were taken, how they were mistreated. It does share not only themes with the first season of Shiny Happy People, but with stories like The Program and other troubled teen industry things that we've watched and listened to. And, you know, I think it's just super thought-provoking. Like Toby said, it freaked me the fuck out. And yeah, when, people are saying like, welcome to the end of democracy with a smile on their face, I do not sleep well at night. So anyway, that's one of the reasons why Shiny Happy People, a teenage holy war, made my list.
Kevin, I want to give you props for bringing up the program that is also on my essential documentaries to watch list. All right, Lara Bricker, what is your number one pick for TV that we reviewed in 2025?
My number one pick, I actually think I called it right when we reviewed it, is Adolescence.
I'm arresting you on suspicion of murder. You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defense if you do not mention one question, something which you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. Do you understand?
I haven't done anything!
Do you understand?
Son,
do you understand?
Just tell him you understand, Jay.
This was probably the most haunting, well-done, thought-provoking, terrifying show I've seen this year. It stayed with me. It gave a very accurate, emotional, real window into what happens when a juvenile is charged with a really heinous crime. This show is 4 episodes. They're all shot in one shot, and it shows what happens after this 13-year-old boy is arrested for murdering a classmate. It shows the impact on this boy, his family, his community. There's like this whole online theme about like online bullying. Like I know we just talked about that in another review, but in this case, it was things like, I had no idea about some of this. Is this real? Like I'm asking the teenagers that I know, do you guys know about this? It reveals the murder. You see CCTV. Anytime anything happens in England, CCTV is pulled up. You see the interrogation, you see the investigation, you see his attorney who comes in. The scene that really sticks with you in this is the scene with this boy and the psychologist who comes in to examine him, and the pauses and the silences and the looks and the way that it plays out. That was one of the best things I have seen on TV.
Adolescence is my number one pick for 2025.
Yay, Kevin!
Yeah, a lot of people come away just remembering the continuous shot, each episode. It's an achievement of art and craft, but as far as the story, it played a little bit with our expectations of murders and crime. And it took me forever to think that maybe they got the wrong guy, even though they come right out pretty much at the end of the first episode and you see the proof that this kid's a murderer. He still won't believe it. But it was just so well done. When I have trouble sleeping after watching something, because as I'm trying to rest, it's still going through my head, the implications, the complications. It is unlike anything that we have ever seen, and I don't want it to be imitated because it cannot be duplicated, but I hope it's inspirational and it lets filmmakers, actors, writers expand their palette and do something really memorable with their screen.
So, Toby, this was very high up on your list and mine. It was number 2 for you.
Yeah, it was almost like a 1A. It was sort of like a coin flip. It was kind of revelatory, and part of it, I guess, might have to do with the one shot, but it kind of made me think a lot about sort of the artifice you see in other TV shows, even ones that like seem like they're very real or true to life or whatever. That just seems to be stripped away from this. It really feels like you're watching real stuff happening. And, a lot of it's about institutions. You sort of watch in sort of real time as institutions do their work based on what role they have to play in this narrative. It was revelatory. And I again, like Kevin said, I really couldn't stop thinking about it. I guess the only thing that kind of maybe kept it from being the number one for me is I kind of felt a little bit let down by the 4th episode, which I think in any other series would have been perfectly fine and really good. Everything seemed so natural in the first 3, and they were able to get all this stuff in, but it never felt like it was forced or they had their finger on the scale at all. And in the final episode, I think they were trying to tie up a whole bunch of things they wanted to say or themes or whatever. But that was like the one time where it was like, I don't know if this is really the way things would go. So that's really my only criticism. Otherwise, it was very different, and I couldn't stop thinking about it.
Yeah, this is my number 2/number 1A as well. Adolescence is a super achievement, and I can't overstate the impact and the craft of the one-shot technique used in this. The idea that Jamie, and the boy who plays Jamie, who did win an Emmy for it, named Owen Cooper, that this was his first ever acting job. He had never acted in anything. It wasn't even like he was in a school play. He was in nothing. This was it. Blows my damn mind. Stephen Graham wrote and made this thing. Like, he made the whole thing, and he's also plays the dad in this. He also won an Emmy. He won a few Emmys. Astonishing. The whole show won a big old Emmy. Like, it deserves every single accolade it gets. Episode 3, I think, is one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen. And that comes after episode 2, which after I watched that, I said, this is one of the best episodes of television I've ever seen. That examines school culture, something that is completely normal to our kids, incel culture, online culture, that a pink heart can mean something completely different than a red heart. But this is a language that kids speak that we don't hear. It's not that we don't understand it. We don't even hear it. We don't see it. We don't hear it. And this is their whole lives. And I don't know. I love this show so much. It can't be replicated, as Kevin said, but I just want to make one more nod to it. The school episode has this one shot that when you're watching it, you think, because it's an overhead shot that flies from the school to a parking lot that's like down the block or whatever. And you think, okay, this is the one thing that they didn't include in the one shot thing that has to be stitched together. No. There's actually footage from behind the scenes of the guy running, the cop running out of the school window, and them literally putting the camera on a drone. The drone flies, and there's another cameraman waiting when it gets to the parking lot. That guy takes the camera off the drone and keeps shooting. It is incredible. It's like a feat. It's unbelievable.
If you see any of the behind-the-scenes stuff, look for that because it's really fascinating to watch what they did.
Yeah. Anyway.
Passing those cameras through windows and upstairs and things like that. It's just amazing.
So Adolescence, very high up on all of our lists and very well deserved. So if you want to see our combined weighted top 10 list for 2025 on our TV version, we have our documentaries that we picked. Check out our show notes or go to crimewriterson.com for that weighted list. All right, Lara Bricker, if folks want to follow you online and say good on you for picking Adolescence as your number one, how can they find you?
You can find me at Lara Bricker on Instagram and Blue Sky.
What about you, Toby? How can you be found online?
At TobyBall NH on Blue Sky and at TobyBall603 on Instagram.
And listen to Toby's podcast, Rip Current, as well.
Rip Current!
Kevin Flynn.
Yeah, I'm at Kevin P. Flynn.
You can follow me everywhere and give me crap for picking the Diplomat as my number one. It's fine. I can take it. You can find me at Reb Lavoie on X, formerly known as Twitter, on Blue Sky, and on Instagram. Mostly, though, I encourage you to join our Facebook group. It's the official Crime Writers on Facebook group. Go to our page. There's a link there to join the group. Support the show at Patreon and get all the stuff we make back there. We have more than 900 episodes back there just for you. Patreon.com/Partners in Crime Media. Our theme song was composed and performed by Tyler Gibbons, and our editor is the wonderful Livy Burdett. The EP of this show is Kevin. This show was recorded in the Caitlin Rogers Project Studio, otherwise known as Studio C, the closet in our basement where we still subscribe to 7 streaming services because there's nothing good to watch on TV. On behalf of all the crime writers, thanks so much for listening. We will catch you later. Toby Ball, tell us what landed on number 9 on your best of TV of 2025 list.
At number 9?
Mm-hmm. Because we're not doing your 10 because that's Kevin's 7.
Oh, all right. I guess it was... Sorry, I'll start again. Sorry, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm getting punchy.
Toby, what's number 3 for you?
My number 3 was The Lowdown.
Your number 3rd?
Mm-hmm.
My number 3rd. It's getting late. It's getting late here in Valencia.
That's okay.
My number 3 is The Lowdown.
In Crime Media.
Hey everybody, Ted Danson here to tell you about my podcast with my longtime friend and sometimes co-host Woody Harrelson. It's called Where Everybody Knows Your Name, and we're back for another season. I'm so excited to be joined this season by friends like John Mulaney, David Spade, Sarah Silverman, Ed Helms, and many more. You don't want to miss it. Listen to Where Everybody Knows Your Name with me, Ted Danson, and Woody Harrelson sometimes, wherever you get your podcasts.
Drafty windows? Sky-high energy bills? Tired of the hassle of constant repairs? This holiday season, Renewal by Andersen helps you slay the savings. Buy one window or door and get one 40% off. Plus, take $200 off your entire purchase with a minimum of 4. And with special financing available, replacing those old, inefficient windows has never been easier. Don't let drafty, worn-out windows crash your holiday cheer. Visit renewalbyandersen.com today to schedule your free consultation.
Holiday PSA from DSW. This is your reminder that shoes are a gift, literally. So unwrap something good, like boots that inspire your next big adventure, or cozy slippers that give you an excuse to stay in, or sneakers that feel like pure joy. Because shoes aren't just shoes, they're exactly what you wanted. Let us surprise you so you can surprise them. Find shoes that get you and everyone on your list at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or DSW.com.